This is the story of Aladdin, adapted by Habiba Ali. Once upon a time in the city of Kabul, Afghanistan, there lived a young man named Aladdin and his pet monkey Abu. Since Aladdin is confined to a wheelchair as he was born paralyzed from the waist down, his physical disability has not gone unnoticed as he experiences stares and pity along with negative chatter and opinions from others. In fact, the entire city of Kabul segregates people with disabilities as they believe evil spirits possess them. Aladdin and Abu are made to fend for themselves in the streets. The only way for them to survive is by Aladdin enlisting the help of Abu to steal their meals from the merchants and vendors in the marketplace. Meanwhile, just outside the city of Kabul, Princess Jasmine lives in a palace with her pet cat Raja and her father the Sultan. Jasmine longs for freedom and the chance to live her own life outside of the palace walls. Jasmine feels imprisoned within a traditional system requiring that she must be arranged to marry a prince before her 21st birthday, which is just under a month away. One afternoon, Jasmine decides that she has had enough and finds the courage to speak to her father by saying to him, "I hate being forced into this. If I do marry, I want it to be for love. I've never done a thing on my own." The Sultan tries to reason with her that as he is getting old, he wants to make sure his daughter is taken care of and provided for by a prince. However, Jasmine becomes frustrated with her father's expectations and ultimately decides to break free of her life as a princess. Before escaping the palace, unbeknownst to her father, Jasmine hugs her pet cat Raja with tears in her eyes and says to her, "I'm so sorry, but I can't stay here any longer and have my life live for me." That night, Jasmine leaves the palace finally feeling free as she runs down the street. The next morning, Jasmine arrives in the city of Kabul, and while walking through the marketplace, she notices a young man and a monkey sitting on the sidewalk by the street and decides to approach them. Jasmine introduces herself to Aladdin and Abu, and she and Aladdin engage in a long conversation telling each other about their lives. Even though Jasmine realizes that Aladdin uses a wheelchair, she doesn't judge or treat him differently. Jasmine returns to the palace the next morning, but ends up sneaking out every night to spend time with Aladdin and Abu. Jasmine and Aladdin develop a strong friendship, and after a month of spending almost every day together, Jasmine falls in love with Aladdin's character, his kindness, and the admiration he has with Abu and others. Aladdin, on the other hand, appreciates that Jasmine doesn't view him as a disabled person, but rather regards him as an equal member of society. Later that night, Aladdin expresses his love to Jasmine by proposing to her, and she happily accepts. After, as they are watching the sunset together, Aladdin then tells Jasmine that he wants to create a foundation called Equality for Everyone, where they can work together in changing the city's attitudes towards people with disabilities and promote inclusion rather than discrimination. Jasmine loves the idea and is eager to begin working on the foundation together with Aladdin. The next morning, Jasmine returns to the palace with Aladdin and Abu and says to her father, "I do not want to be a princess anymore and live in the palace. I met Aladdin in the city and fell in love with him, and we plan to marry soon and start our foundation called Equality for Everyone to end the stigma against people with disabilities and promote inclusion in society." Jasmine's father was not pleased with his daughter's decision and expressed to her that Aladdin won't be able to provide and take care of her. Jasmine then says to her father, "Just because Aladdin is on a wheelchair does not mean that he cannot take care of himself and those around him. Leaving the palace will finally give me the chance to have my own life with Aladdin, the freedom and independence I always wanted, and most importantly, make a difference in the world with our foundation." Jasmine then left without saying another word to her father and headed to the palace balcony where Aladdin was waiting for her with Abu and Raja. However, during the week Aladdin spent with Jasmine at the palace, the Sultan was able to witness their undeniable love for each other. And this changed his previous perception of Aladdin, as he now viewed him as an equal citizen and a strong, capable young man. At the end of the week, the Sultan approached Jasmine and told her that his greatest wish as a father is that his daughter would fall in love and eventually marry a young man that treats her with honor and respect. Jasmine embraced her father in a hug and felt that she could finally live her own life and work together with Aladdin to change the lives for people with disabilities. Jasmine and Aladdin marry in the palace a week later, with Abu, Raja, and her father serving as their witnesses. Soon after, Jasmine and Aladdin purchased their own home in Kabul. A month later, Jasmine and Aladdin launched the foundation Equality for Everyone in Kabul. 2 years later, the foundation continues to remain successful and change society's perception of people with disabilities through advocating for equality and inclusion.